I thought last night was the end of everything. The tears, the silence, the heartbreak that left me staring at the ceiling until dawn. But then, just when I began to breathe again, there was a knock on my door. A soft, hesitant knock that carried the weight of everything I'd been trying to forget. Pause for effect. Slow music builds. At that moment, I didn't know whether to open the door or run from it. Because sometimes the person knocking isn't just at your door, they're at the door of your heart asking for one more chance. Before we find out what happened that night, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Universe. Your support helps us bring more emotional and inspiring stories straight to you. It was 1:07 a.m. The sound of water hitting the old tin awning outside my window was the only thing keeping me company. My phone lay face down on the table, silent, cold, and heavy with unread messages I didn't want to see. I had just finished packing the last of her things into a cardboard box. Her scarf, the half-empty perfume bottle, the book she never finished reading. The apartment felt like an empty photograph, frozen in the memory of her laughter. Her name was Alina, and until last night she was my everything. We weren't perfect, no couple ever is. But love, when it's real, doesn't demand perfection. It just asks for presence. And last night, she wasn't there. We'd fought over something small, something stupid. A dinner I forgot, a message I didn't reply to fast enough. But that's how love dies, doesn't it? Not with one explosion, but with 1,000 tiny cuts we never meant to give. She walked out before midnight, and I let her go, because pride is louder than love when you're hurt. I thought that was it. I thought love had packed its bags and vanished into the rain. But then, an hour later, came that knock. 3 soft taps, then silence. I froze. My chest tightened. No one visits at that hour. Not unless it's something that can't wait till morning. I walked slowly toward the door, each step echoing against the quiet. My mind replayed the night, the argument, the slammed door, the sound of her car leaving. It couldn't be her, could it? I turned the handle, and there she was, Alina, standing in the rain, drenched from head to toe. Her hair was plastered to her face, mascara running like dark rivers down her cheeks. But her eyes, they were the same eyes that used to look at me like I was home. "Can we talk?" she whispered. Her voice trembled, not from the cold, but from something deeper. For a long second, I couldn't move. Part of me wanted to pull her into my arms. The other part still burned with everything we'd said, but I stepped aside. She walked in, dripping water onto the wooden floor, her arms wrapped around herself. The conversation. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared hundreds of breakfasts and late-night coffees. Neither of us spoke for a while. The air between us was thick, almost tangible. Finally, she looked up. "I couldn't sleep," she said softly. "Every time I closed my eyes, I heard your voice." I swallowed hard. "You left, Alina. You made your choice." "I know," she said. And I hated myself for it the moment I did. But I didn't come here to fix everything tonight. I just needed you to know that I'm sorry. Her voice cracked on the last word. There was something raw about seeing someone you love, the same person who hurt you, standing in front of you asking for forgiveness they might not get. I wanted to tell her it was okay, that everything could go back to normal. But it wasn't that simple. "You can't just disappear and come back when it hurts," I said. "That's not how love works." She nodded slowly. "You're right, but you also know me. I've never been good at letting go." She reached across the table, her hand trembling. "Do you still love me?" That question hung in the air like smoke. Did I? Of course I did. But love alone doesn't erase pain. "I never stopped," I whispered. "But I don't know if that's enough anymore." Her eyes welled up, "Then let me prove that it is." The night that never ended, we talked for hours about everything. About how we'd both been too proud, too scared to admit how much we needed each other. Sometimes we forget that love isn't a battlefield, it's a bridge, and both sides have to walk toward each other. When the rain finally stopped, dawn began to peek through the blinds. She was sitting on the couch, wrapped in my hoodie, sipping the same coffee she once complained was too bitter. It felt like nothing had changed, and yet everything had. Then she said something that hit me harder than any fight we ever had. "I didn't just come back to say sorry," she whispered. "I came back because the doctor called me yesterday." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" She looked down at her trembling hands. "They found something. It's not good." The world froze. My mind went blank. My breath caught in my chest. The clock on the wall kept ticking, but time itself had stopped. I took her hands in mine. "Alina, what are you saying?" Her eyes glistened, but she forced a small, brave smile. "I'm saying I don't know how much time I have, and I don't want to spend whatever's left being angry with you." The words shattered me. Suddenly, everything we'd fought about, every petty disagreement, seemed meaningless. Love wasn't about who was right or wrong anymore. It was about time, and how little of it we actually have. Redemption. For the next few weeks, I became a different person. I stopped checking my phone for notifications that didn't matter. I stopped chasing deadlines and started chasing moments. We laughed again. We cooked together. We watched old movies till sunrise. And for the first time in months, I saw her smile. Really smile. Some nights she'd wake up crying, scared of what the future held. I'd hold her close and whisper, "We'll get through this together." And we did, one day at a time. Love didn't cure her, but it healed something else, the part of both of us that had forgotten what it meant to truly be alive. She started painting again. I started writing. And somehow, in that small apartment filled with hope and fear and laughter and tears, life began again. The final knock. It was 3 months later when the knock came again. This time it wasn't hers. It was the nurse from the clinic. Alina had been in the hospital for a week, and that night, she didn't make it. I remember driving there in the rain, the same rain from that night, and sitting beside her bed long after everyone else left. Her hand was cold, but her face looked peaceful, like she had found her sunrise after the longest storm. On her bedside table was a folded note. My hand shook as I opened it. It said, "Don't cry for the nights that ended. Smile for the one that brought us back together. You taught me what love really means, not forever, but now. Thank you for opening the door when I knocked again." I pressed that note to my chest and let the tears fall, because sometimes love doesn't come back to stay. It comes back to remind you that it was real. Second CTA. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Universe. Your support helps spread more stories that remind the world that love, forgiveness, and kindness can change everything. Ending message. It's been 2 years since that night. The apartment still creaks the same way when it rains. The same old tin awning still sings its song. But now, when I hear a knock on the door, I don't feel fear. I feel hope. Because every knock in life, whether it's from a person or fate itself, is a chance to open up again. We don't always get second chances in love, but when we do, we should open the door. Not because it'll last forever, but because in that moment, it's real. So the next time someone knocks on your heart, listen. You never know. That knock might change everything.